piacere e l'onore di avere qui con noi buona parte diversi europarlamentari, buona parte della Commissione Agricoltura del Parlamento Europeo, con il proprio Presidente Linz, non solo lui, abbiamo la Vicepresidente della Commissione Agri che è Mazali Aguilar, che è qui presente con noi, dalla Spagna, Paolo De Castro, posso anche non introdurti tanto qui a lei, ma ti conoscono tutti, Paolo. Abbiamo Camilla Lauteri, sempre della Commissione Agri, abbiamo, scusate che giro la pagina, in collegamento Anthony Oxa, il Director di Fertilizer Europe, e ci parlerà di alcune cose. Sempre presenti con noi Maria Grappini, eccola qui, da Romania, anche se il nome è molto italiano, è la Vicepresidente della Commissione Mercato Interno, INCO. È appena arrivato Nicola Danti, ti ho visto prima, è appena andato via, per cui c'è ancora. Patrizia Toia, eccola lì. Pietro Fiocchi in prima linea, poi spero di non aver dimenticato nessuno, e Matteo Borsari che è il nostro uomo all'orizzonte. Eccoti, scusa, non ti avevo mica vista. Scusa, eccoti che avevo qui. E Alessandra Basso che è arrivata adesso, sempre membro della Commissione Mercato Interno. Now we switch to English, okay? We start to introduce. I would like to thank all the colleagues from the the friends from the European Parliament, and especially Robert Linz, that I would like to ask doing few things, and then we pass to Anthony Oxda. What do you think about EMA today? What impression do you have?
Yeah. So first, I would like to thank on behalf of my colleagues for your kind invitation. I think we all were very much impressed about the specialized agriculture, both the machines, the technologies, the innovation, the digitalization, artificial intelligence. So I think this is really the way forward, and we know we have a lot of challenges on the table when it comes to food, when it comes to food security, when it comes to food system, how we can keep the quality and the quantity of food production. And I think your contribution is not only welcomed, is needed ever more than ever in these times.
I hope you have the link with Anthony Oxa. I ask to technical part, no more. Second question to Norbert Linz. Today we have talked about specialized agriculture, and we are just making a small explain. Specialized agriculture is about, as I tell you before, 13% of our surface in Europe, agricultural surface in Europe, but that means about 48% of the added value in agriculture. From the mechanical point of view, from our industry point of view, 25% of the mechanization in agriculture is for specialized agriculture, and 75% is for what we call open field. What is the problem that we are facing usually in Europe, talking about new rules, about emission, about everything, is that when you think about agriculture, you think about large production of cereals, large production of tomatoes, cereals, potatoes, or whatever. What impression do you have about our special mechanization?
So there you can see how you have to differentiate within the agricultural sector. Yeah? So we saw, as I mentioned it before, a lot of innovation and we see the way forward to digitization and artificial intelligence. But when we look into the different machines for horticulture, for vineyards, and all this, how you need specialized machines, and not for a huge amount of machines. Yeah? So this means there are a lot of investments, but the question is how you can get the reinvestment of this, because with arable land, with larger farms and so on, these machines, they are needed all over the world, but this is needed for a smaller part of the cultivation of the management of land. And I think this is the special challenge for your sector.
Yes, please take in consideration that in Italy, Spain, also Austria, Portugal, biggest part of agriculture is for specialized agriculture. So we need specialized machine. We should have, we have some problem with the camera, but I think that he can talk and can hear us. Anthony Oxa, are you here?
Yes, I'm. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. We meet each other during the last SEMA board, and you make a very nice presentation about the problem of fertilizer producer in Europe. So I would like just to ask you, give us some information about the situation of the fertilizer producer in Europe, the problem that you have right now as cost of production and availability of raw material, because fertilizer are one of the key elements for us in agriculture, for us for agriculture machine, to have a good production per hectare, let's say. Please, Anthony.
Yes. First, I want to thank you for the invitation. And I will just briefly introduce myself and Fertilizers Europe. I am a chemical engineer by training, and I've worked first in the fertilizer industry, and then since 12 years in the association. So I was diverted to agriculture from chemical engineer, or as some of my former colleagues would say, I was perverted. But as Fertilizers Europe, we represent the majority of nitrogen producers in Europe. And believe me, I would have loved to be with you in Bologna. And at least I can talk to you, but for some strange reason, video is not passing through. I hope we will be able to fix this further down. But as you rightfully mentioned, the energy crisis and was followed by the Russian invasion of Ukraine is really severely affecting European fertilizer industry, among others industries, but we are probably the most hit. And the reason is because gas is our main input for production of nitrogen fertilizers. In normal times, it represents something like 60 to 80% of the variable cost for producing fertilizers. And with today's prices, it's 90% actually. And these extreme prices, they have led to the curtailment of production in Europe. In end of August, September, 70% of the ammonia production in Europe was shut down. Now it's a bit better, but still it remains very, very tense. And this leaves industry and of course also farmers with a lot of uncertainties. So if we look from this perspective, it's a very, very difficult situation. I want to look at also from another side. Let's say we're in a difficult times, but we need to see what we can get out of it and take the moment to make a change in the way we produce fertilizers, in the way we use fertilizers. And this is where it comes the link actually to digital farming. But do you want me to go further into digital farming, or we keep it for after?
No, you can go on.
Okay, good, thank you. And again, I apologize for this situation. I will actually maybe try to link via my mobile later, but okay. So this crisis is in a way a wake-up call. We need to improve the resilience of our agriculture systems. we need to accelerate the process of improving our sustainability. And I had prepared a couple of slides. I don't know if you can put them on the screen, but in any case, it's not important. The point is that we need to improve the sustainability. And if I look a bit, where was Europe going? What was the direction before the crisis and before the Russian invasion? We had the Green Deal and the farm to fork strategy. And in the farm to fork strategy, there is one target for fertilizers. It's the target of reducing 50% the nutrient losses to the environment. And this target, I think, is very wisely set. We don't want to reduce the nutrients that go to the plant. Of course not. We need to have the production, even improve our yields if possible. But we need to cut the losses. And what is the instrument we have in this? We have to improve what we call nutrient use efficiency. We've had scientists looking at it, and we have very nice scientific definitions, but simply put, nutrient use efficiency is how much of the nutrient or the nitrogen, more specifically, you put of what we put to the field end up in the plant. And today in Europe, nitrogen use efficiency is something like 60%. That means that 40% of the nitrogen that comes to the field is lost in a way or another. If we look globally, this 60% is very high compared to the rest of the world. But it still means we have 40% losses, and we have to cut these losses. This is the direction to go. And which are the ways to improve it? Of course, there are things like using cover crops in winter, crop rotations, etc. But the two main avenues for improving nutrient use efficiency are digital farming, precision agriculture, and the use of enhanced fertilizers, enhanced efficiency fertilizers. They can be inhibitors or slow release, controlled release fertilizers. That's it. But I want to come back to digital farming or precision agriculture. It has a huge potential to help farmers to understand better, assess their crops' need for nutrients, and then optimize the activities on the ground to make sure that the crops, they receive what they need when they need it, not too much, not too little. And here as an industry, we have been working hand in hand with agriculture machinery producers to develop system to make that possible. We've invested in technologies, and now we have a whole panel of technologies, from simple portable devices, GSM-based applications, to big farm machineries with sensors, and they will make optical measures in the field, collect information about the chlorophyll content, biomass density, and then in real time, they will adjust the spreading. So when the plant have needs, they will receive the right amount, and when there is no need, we will spread less fertilizers. This is really very high technology, but if we look at the results, and I have in mind results I've seen from a farm in Germany, for example, by using this high technology, they were able to increase the yields by 6% and at the same time cut fertilizer production, fertilizer use by 12%. So we're really getting there. If you put all these numbers together, is really a good step in the direction that Commission has asked us to go. And if I look at the communication that Commission just published this week on availability and affordability of fertilizers, precision farming is well identified as one of the techniques to improve and something we really need to implement in Europe. So I won't be longer, and I'm looking forward for a discussion, but for us, really, by joining forces, agriculture machine producer, fertilizer producers, and farmers, we are going at the same time improve our yields, increase or at least keep food production in Europe, and importantly, reduce environmental impact. And I'm stopping here.
Thank you, Anthony. From the industry point of view, in the last few years, we've developed a lot the spreading technology, the fertilizing machine, and following our experience, we are very close to the farm-to-fork limit, so the farm-to-fork goal, sorry. About 30% of reduction with just variable rates machines and GPS system on machine. If you add what we are saying that wide spectrum camera, just to have more information from the field about the quantity of fertilizer, we can even reach higher quantity. The problem is that these machines are quite expensive. So I think in the next few years, we have to concentrate not only on putting in rules, but putting some incentive for the farmer, because for the farmer it would be very costly to buy fertilizer, but it's quite costly also to buy the machine. Just a personal question. It's not about machining, it's about what in Italian we call TEA. So it's technique for assisted evolution of, sorry? You're a bit English, okay. What do you think about that? Because for us, we can just improve our machine. We just invented new chemicals, whatever, but if we don't help the nature in some other ways, as we have making the beginning of the last century with this kind of hybrid combination, I think it will be very difficult for us to increase the production of foods worldwide, because FAO told us that we are 7.8 billion 2021, we have to become 8.6 by 2031, so 800 million persons worldwide. We don't have enough land, so we have to increase the production per hectare. What do you think about this hybrid?
Yeah, I think the right term for this is what we should move or where we should move the agriculture sector is that we come to a more to a sustainable intensification when it comes to the usage of agricultural land. And I would like to see, beside the Green Deal, I will not question the Green Deal, the objectives of the biodiversity and the farm-to-fork strategy. But for the time being, I have the feeling, I have the impression that we are working only with obligation reduction targets. We are putting the farmers in a really difficult situation, and there are less incentives on the table. And there would be instruments there. In a few weeks, the new agriculture, the common agriculture policy will be in place from the 1st January 2023. And we had a lot of discussion and a lot of, there were more than 7,000 amendments on the table, and we went through this process for years. And the new element within the common agriculture policy are the so-called eco schemes. And I think now we see, when we look into the strategic plans of the different member states, there is something in on precision farming, on smart farming, on digitalization, but I would have wished more there. For example, in my country, Paolo and the colleagues are much more aware of the details of the strategic plans in Italy. But in my country, we are talking only about extensivation of agriculture. So in the eco schemes, yeah, which are there, only would lead the agriculture sector into the direction of extensivation. In some areas, I'm not against that. In some areas, organic agriculture, organic production is the right way to go. I will not question this, but to say this is the only direction we have to go, and we only talk about what has to be done on the field and not what is the outcome. So to keep the production in the European Union, to guarantee food security for the longer future, there I think there are open questions there, and I think we have to improve a lot strategic plans within the European Union. There would be really the instruments there to use a part of this money for investments, to give incentives to the farmers for investment in new technologies, in innovations, in digitalization. And there I'm a little bit unhappy about the outcome and about the result of our CAP negotiations.
Thank you, Norbert. Thank you, Anthony. We just closed this section. Thank you to all the Parliament members from EU, and we have very nice drink for in Bologna, and then very nice dinner. So we move to the hotel now, and we go after that to dinner. Okay?
Thank you.